Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today was supposed to be my 38-week update and I didn't make it there. So I delivered a baby Bridget on 38 weeks exactly at 11:18 at night, and we are officially 7 days postpartum today. I still have my little postpartum belly, and yeah, so I'll give you a little update. I want to just really quickly talk about my birth story. It was a quick one, so it won't take very long. So 38 weeks, I had a pediatrician appointment for my kids at 11:30. We went to that. Everything was fine. You know, if you saw my 37-week update, I was 3 to 4 centimeters, 80% effaced with a bulging water. So I was a little nervous to go anywhere, but we did go to the pediatrician appointment at 11:30 in the morning, came home, spent the rest of the day, put the kids to bed. We usually put them to bed at 8. I was sitting on the couch, our brand new couch, on a towel just in case, and I heard like a pop, and I kind of was like, what is that pop? Now my water broke with my twins, so I know what it feels like, but I had never like felt that pop. And I said to my husband, oh, hold on a second, I felt a pop, let me check. So I stood up and I just felt like a little bit of fluid leaking, not enough to know if it was actually the water. I went to the bathroom, I came back out, and I said, I don't know, it definitely is not the same as when it happened with the twins and it wasn't leaking continuously. I said, let me take a shower. So I get in the shower, I get out of the shower, I come in the bed, and I was Googling, which, you know, shouldn't always Google, but I was Googling, and it actually said that if you are already dilated, which I knew I was, sometimes the baby's head can block the fluid from coming out. So lay down if you're unsure if it was your water, and like get back up in a few minutes. So I did that, and then there was a gush, and I like walked very quickly to the bathroom and told my husband it was definitely my water. So he called his mom, and that was around like 9:45. So it had already been 45 minutes. No real contractions, same old Braxton Hicks. Got myself all changed and dressed. We waited for his mom. She took like 20 minutes. So it was a little after 10. I was kind of just dilly-dallying around like, oh, this is where all the kid stuff is. This is what we left out for this. Here's this. You can sleep upstairs. You can sleep downstairs. Here's the camera, yada, yada. And I said to my husband, it's not like it's urgent. Like, I don't have any contractions, you know? So we get in the car. It was a little after 10. We drive to the hospital, which is not that far away, 15 minutes. I actually work there on the weekends. So we park at the visitor's entrance, and we go in. And I knew this, but I wasn't even thinking, you cannot get in there after 8 p.m. You have to go through the ER. So we get back in the car, and at this point in the car, I started having contractions about 5 minutes apart, but I didn't have to stop. So I actually was like getting a contraction on the way in to check the door, and I didn't have to like stop and breathe through them. I was just walking, and I could still walk. So I didn't think it was like that big of a deal. So we go back in the car, drive to the ER, around the building, get in the ER, go in. And at this point, I guess I should add, before I left the house, I called the on-call number just to let them know I was coming. And, you know, they always say, wait at home until the doctor calls you back. And I said to the lady on the phone, no, I'm just going to go in. I know it's my water. And she said, okay. So she finally called me back when I was in the ER parking lot. And she said, yep, the doctor wants you to come in and get checked. I said, okay, well, I'm here. And she's like, okay. So we go in the ER. They made us wait standing at the desk for a doctor to come out just to ask me if I felt like I needed to push right now. And I said, no. And she said, do you think you need a wheelchair? And I said, nope. And she said, okay. And she let me go. So I walked up to the 4th floor, which is the family place, walked in, and I was still having contractions every 5 minutes, but I didn't really have to stop again. I go into triage, and they asked me if I needed to use the bathroom. I said, I guess I should. She gave me a cup to pee in. And while I was in the bathroom, I was so hot and sweaty. Like, you know, when you have, like, if you have to go to the bathroom and you have really bad cramps, I was so hot and sweaty. I was like, like, it was terrible. I thought I was going to pass out, throw up. Like, I was so hot and sweaty. So I get back over into triage, and I put on the gown. The nurse comes in to talk to me, and my husband said, how long before she could get an epidural? And I said, I just want everyone to know I want an epidural. I want an epidural. And she said, well, I have to take blood work. That'll take 20 minutes. And then I have to have a negative COVID test, which will take 45 minutes. And I was like, oh, because at this point the contractions were coming a little bit faster, maybe 2 minutes apart, and definitely stronger. And I said, well, I actually got the COVID vaccine, which is not up for debate on this video, and she said, that's great. Now we don't have to COVID test you and it'll be faster. So I was like, perfect. So she goes to put an IV in, and my arm was actually very bruised when they took it out because I could not sit still. My contractions were now like back to back to back. And at this point it is about 10:42. And I know that because my husband took a picture of us in triage before the nurse came in, kind of like oh, we're here, we're having a baby. And it's marked on my phone at 10:42. So that's the time that we actually got to the hospital was 10:30. By the time we got to the correct entrance in and up, it was like 10:40. So she puts the IV in quickly. And then I'm like moving all around. I can't sit still. The contractions were back to back. And I casually mentioned that I felt pressure in my bottom. And so she calls the doctor in a little faster, and she's like, she's feeling pressure in her bottom. So the doctor comes in, and I said, I want an epidural. And she's like, okay, until we get your blood work back and you get your epidural, I brought you some pain meds, like narcotics. And I said, perfect. She's like, I just have to check you first. And I said, okay. So I couldn't sit still. She's like, let me know when you're in between contractions. I'm like, I'm never in between contractions at this point. So she checks me, and she looks at the nurse, and she goes, yeah, can you get me my cart like ASAP and let's get her to a room? And she says to me, you're fully dilated. You cannot have any pain meds, or you cannot have an epidural. I'm like, what? And so I was thinking she was going to give me the pain meds. And she said, I can't when you're this close, because it just goes apparently straight to the baby. And she's like, I can't give you anything at this point. And I looked at my husband, and I was basically like, oh no. And it was a whirlwind. So they take us out of triage, push us just across the hall, and I am freaking out and like, I don't want to have a baby in the hallway. She's like, you're not going to have a baby in the hallway. I'm just going to get you across the hall into another room. So they get me to that other room. They push the bed up beside the other bed, and I basically like flopped over. And the doctor looks at me and goes, I don't have my cart yet, but if you need to start pushing, go ahead. And I was just like, it was the craziest thing, because with my twins, I went in on a Sunday, and they basically my water broke, but I had to have Pitocin. I didn't deliver them till Tuesday. So I had an epidural, and I was in labor for a long time. So my husband really didn't even get to take his coat off. They kind of threw him in and were like, grab a leg, because there was one nurse, the doctor, and then the doctor had like a family medicine resident that was doing like a observation rotation through OB. So anyway, so I start pushing, and I will say I pictured in my mind a very calm birth. I had said to my husband, we'll get there, we'll get the epidural, we'll sleep. And I had pictured this very calm like experience. And I don't swear ever. I wasn't yelling at my husband, but I was definitely yelling, I can't do this, just pull her out. I can't do this, just pull her out. And they kept saying, no, you can do it. They're so calm. They've been through this a million times. So I did it, obviously, but it didn't take long. It was probably 15 minutes of pushing, and she was out. It was definitely a complete whirlwind of a birth. I had an episiotomy with my twins. I had 2 small tears with this one, which is probably why it burned so bad when I was trying to push her out. So they fixed up those, and luckily when they got me over to the room, I had told them I was supposed to have steroids because of another medication I'm on during birth. We did not have time for that. I ended up getting steroids after. I also was able to tell them that I had a marginal cord insertion on my placenta. So the cord just wasn't in the middle, it was on the side. So they knew, which was great for them to know, because they did not get a chance to look at my medical record or anything. And they were able to get it out without pulling on it because of what I told them. So I was able to tell them that. But other than that, no oxygen, no hooking up to vitals. They did have a monitor on the baby because that's the first thing they did when I got there. But I wasn't hooked up to I don't even know that she plugged the machine in. She brought it with us over, but I don't think she ever plugged it in because that's how fast it moved. And she wasn't able to monitor my vitals till after like nothing. So it was the craziest experience I've ever been through. Got there at 10:42. She was born at 11:18. And what's funny is she was born on May 3rd. And I told my husband when we got there, oh gosh, she's going to be born on May 4th. And she's going to have the May the 4th be with you jokes the rest of her life. I thought there was no way if we got there at 11:15 that she was going to be born that day. So craziest thing ever. I was literally hooked up to nothing. And then afterwards, probably an hour or two afterwards, after we did skin to skin and all that, the nurse said, I'm really sorry that it's so late, but I have to admit you now. So we had to go through my admittance paperwork and, you know, sign all the stuff and answer all the questions. And the next day the OB came in and she said, I can always tell, I had the OB that's a nighttime OB, which I don't know for my practice because she just is at the hospital. The next day, one of the OBs from the practice came in and she said, I always know it's a whirlwind birth when I see the birth documentation and then underneath I see your admittance paperwork. So that is kind of how the birth went. And looking back, I'm grateful for it. I had no drugs, and I am not somebody that ever wanted to experience a drug-free birth. So it has nothing to do with that. But my recovery has been easier. I was up within like an hour, taking a shower. I had no problems going number 2 afterwards because I did not have any narcotics. The only pain medication I got after was Tylenol and Motrin. I didn't have to worry about coming off of an epidural. I wasn't groggy. I didn't have fluid running through me, so I wasn't swollen. I wasn't even ever hooked up to an IV. I got 2 doses of steroids through my IV, and that was it. And then they took it out because I wanted to take a shower, so I asked if they could take it out. But nothing. So actually, it worked out really well. I don't think I would have wanted to do a medication-free birth if it was longer than my, half hour total. I don't think I would have wanted to do it because it was 15 minutes of like hardcore contractions, 15 minutes of pushing and done. I was very sore down there, very swollen, very bruised, all that, but she came super fast. So she is doing well. She weighed 7 pounds even and was 20 inches long. She's having issues with nursing. She was having issues with feeding. She lost too much weight the first day and we had to supplement her, pump and supplement, just simply because she was born so fast that she got not meconium in her lungs, but she got some fluid in her lungs, and she's just very sleepy from coming out so quickly. So we're working on that, but other than that, things are great. We stayed 1 extra night because of her weight loss. She leveled out and is gaining slowly. So we came home and yeah, there was really nothing. The experience was different, totally different from being in the NICU because we really didn't see that many nurses. We saw them on shift changes and we saw them when they needed to check vitals. But other than that, we didn't really see them. They kind of just left us alone. It was kind of interesting because you can't have visitors. We were confined to our room because they had COVID positive patients. So it was just very different, a different experience. But everything is going well. We're home. We're trying to figure out a new normal. And that's about where we are. So whirlwinds of a birth. It's over now. It's over now and I'm recovering, and yeah, so that is the birth story. I did get some footage of the twins meeting her, so stay tuned for that video. Make sure you subscribe, and I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will take you out and give you a little shot of baby Bridget. Oh, let's see your face.